Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats, part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name's Jake. I'm joined in the studio, the virtual studio, the off-season escape by Sambo and Johnny. It's been 2 weeks since we recorded. How are you, chaps?
Good. Feels like it's been 3 weeks for me. Thinks it has.
I'm pretty good. Am I buzzing to you guys, or am I coming through okay?
You're coming through
I can't
fine
hear
on
it.
my end.
Okay, it's just my end then.
This has been the one problem. The off-season escape has been a wonderful place to come during the summer months. As we said, cool beverages, great specials menu, events that go on long into the night. But the one problem is the internet, the technology. I think this may have actually been built, the off-season escape, on top of some sort of occult burial ground. And I think that's what's happening, is that we've got a lot of, interference from beyond the grave. But we will attempt to soldier on before the poltergeists drain Sam's iPad battery. So on this episode tonight, AFLW off-season news. There's a lot to get into in terms of trades and signings. There's picks going in, picks going out, cats coming, cats going. So we'll get into all of that. Then we're going to jump into a segment we like to call Things We Are Sold, Not Sold On. So that'll be fun, or at least we hope so. It's the first time we've done it. It's essentially just stonks dressed up as something else. And then we're going to talk ranking our favorite cats. That's for the Patreon subscribers. We're going to, now that there's been some list clear out from the AFL men's team, we're going to talk about our favorite AFL men's cats who are currently on the roster, on the list. We'll probably do the AFL women's team next week. Chaps, before we jump into it, got to say a very quick Hoops Crew Media Network thank you, of course, to our Hoops Crew Media Network sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. It's that time of year. You're going to an event. You don't know what to take. Why not take a lovely bunch of flowers? If a picture says 1,000 words, a bunch of flowers says a whole lot more. Visit them at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. You can phone them up 035 222 2244, or get on your pins and hobble down to Shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Tell them that the Hoops Crew sent you, and you'll get 20% knocked off your next in-store purchase. Come on. It's the season. Support our sponsors. Support Cyril Cook Florist. It's that time of year. All right. Time to jump into it. The ghosts are giving us some feedback. Let's push on with the off-season escape. This episode, the first one we're going to talk about, we're going to whip through some AFLW off-season news. We're going to start by talking about some extensions. And the Cats announced a trio of re-signings. We'd already talked about the Aisling Maloney one a couple of weeks ago. This one, there's 3 players who have committed or recommitted to Geelong. They are Claudia Gunjaka, who has signed on through at least the end of 2027, while Rachel Kearns and Zali Friswell have both signed 2-year extensions until the end of 2026. Sambo, I want to come to you first here on Claudia Gunjaka, a 3-season extension. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, pretty happy. Not super surprised. Like, I feel like she has, as we've talked about before, she's really sort of found her home down back there and started to find some real consistent form. Maybe not her best year was the season just gone, but still put in some really a really impressive body of work, and in particular some really impressive performances. Like, there was some games there where she was just having some career best days at the office. I thought so. Yeah, not incredibly surprised. Like I feel like she feels like a cat for life. Really, like she feels really well settled there. But at the same time, still very relieved that she did because you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it seems like a nice strengthening. She does seem to me, Johnny, like uh, certainly a piece of a future premiership team at the Cats. Um, what about Rachel Kearns, though, Johnny? One of your favourites, Monty Kearns,
Monty.
re-signs for a further 2 years. Sambo talked about, Claudia Gunjaka's season this year. Some ups and downs. Rachel Kearns, possibly career best year. What were your thoughts on her 2024 and what the re-signing means for the next 2 seasons for the Cats?
Yeah, definitely up there as one of the better career seasons. Definitely as each season she's gotten better and better. So it makes sense that 2024 was pretty outstanding, and especially when the whole team weren't playing as good as they could together, she was still a pretty high beacon of a player, like light in the dark that was still playing absolute best. Coming off that half back, kicking it long inside 50, could have had a few opportunities to kick a goal, just couldn't get there in the end. But yeah, one of those seasons where you just sit back and go, yep, that first 2 seasons bodies of work is really starting to pay off. And yeah, really excited that she signed on for another 2 because it's another 2 seasons to really start pushing herself. And I think after this season, she'll have a lot of that confidence really built up in her now. And I reckon 2025 will be a pretty exciting year for her. And who knows what could go right for her. Like, I think she's got a pretty exciting career ahead of her. And this year just proved that she was worth sticking with and sticking by. And I think she's going to repay the Cats fans pretty greatly with hopefully a premiership in the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. It says in the article here, obviously she was signed in 2022, season 6. Initially played as a forward, was moved, into the back line. I think on a solid basis last year, has played 34 games for the Cats to date. I agree there. I think she's a crucial cat to lock up. And like you alluded to, Johnny, a weapon not just down back with her intercepting and her physical presence, but also counterpunching and attacking. And I totally think that she's got, she could kick 3, 4, 5 goals a season moving forward if she just, you know, takes more of those opportunities on herself rather than passing them off. Though, having said that, if you've got a forward line that comprises, Jackie Parry, Chloe Shear, Aisling Maloney, uh, passing it off's
It's
not the
pretty good.
worst. Um, yeah, it's
No,
a pretty good option to have.
it's like
Zali Friswell, yeah, you go.
I was just gonna say it is even more important that we lock up Kearns now that Anna Rose Kennedy has gone back to Ireland for the foreseeable future. So yeah, I think it was a pretty wise and crucial player to lock down quickly and effectively for the next couple of years, and hopefully another contract extension next year or the year after.
Yeah, totally. And that's a good point you make because they, both offer that run and dash out of the back line. And we've lost, Anna Rose Kennedy I mentioned the Stonks segment earlier. Like she would have been a player going into into 2025 that we would have been looking at going, you might almost be a bit too late to buy Stonks because she really broke out in 2024. So no, I totally agree with that point there, Johnny. I think it makes a lot of sense for everyone involved. Zali Friswell extends also through 2026. Been an interesting and sort of slow developing cat, I would say. But this year, I think easily her strongest season, both metaphorically and literally. Uh, we all remarked opening game against the Demons, almost didn't recognize her. The sort of strength that she had added, from one season to the next. I mean, it's a long time between seasons in the AFLW, and Zali Friswell had clearly, I don't know, hit the gym because she looked just stronger, more able to sort of stand up in those physical contests and not get bumped off the ball as much. Career high in disposal average with 12.2, career second best or third best, about career average is what I would say. Disposal efficiency, 74.6%. She's always used the ball pretty well. 3.7 tackles per game is a career high. So, yeah, I like that they've locked her up. I don't think Zali Friswell is ever going to be, at least in my opinion, one of those like top 3 Geelong midfielders. Your Amy McDonald, your Georgie Prasparkas type, your Nina Morrison. But what Zali Friswell is an exceptional next tier of player that you have to have. You have to have strength in depth. I think teams like North Melbourne and the Lions and the Crows, teams who have won a lot of flags and a lot of games in the AFLW, sort of show that you have to have strength in depth. And I think Zali Friswell is an exceptionally strong player for the Cats. All right, let us talk on about where are we going next on this show. We're off to things we're sold / not sold on, chaps. So how this works, we'll each go around, we'll each offer something we're sold on, something we're not sold on. I think do you want to, let's talk about things we're sold on first.
All right.
It seems a bit negative to end with the negatives, but, then we'll bring it back around in the Patreon segment with our favorite Cats. So these ones, I don't know about you chaps, I've specifically looked at the AFL men's team with this one, and maybe we could, if you guys haven't, then fine, that's a mixed segment. And if not, maybe we could do the AFLW team in another episode.
Well, we're going to do the top favourite Cats from the women's in another episode, aren't we? So we
so maybe that's what we'll do. We'll
tie them together as well.
I like it. We're producing
Nice
the show
thinking there,
on
Sam.
the fly here. All right. Oh, actually, do you know what? We've got more news. We've got more news to get to. But I didn't get into. I said we've got Cats signing on. It's been 2 weeks, chaps. It's been 2 weeks. I've forgotten how to do the show.
You're excited for other things happening in your life at the moment, so understandable.
Exactly. So we retained some Cats. Okay. We've strengthened our draft hand as well. So the Cats, we've now got multiple picks in the first round. We will now pick 9 and 16 in the first round of the AFLW draft. So that's pretty exciting in itself. Geelong was involved in a bunch of trades. Look, we could break them down. There was a mega 6-team trade. I don't think we need to break down all the angles. Apart from to say we've now got 2 high draft picks, which to me, coming off, a prelim final, then you have a disappointing year sort of marred by injury and missed finals. We might just get a bit of a benefit out of this, that we get to pick a little bit higher in the draft and restock and then springboard back up to challenge. But the way we got some of these picks, chaps, was that we lost a player who I believe requested a move, and that is somewhat surprisingly to me, Darcy Maloney, the midfielder from the Cats, who had managed 46 games in the Hoops, would have played her 50th next season. Sambo, I'll come to you first here. How surprised were you when you saw this? They received pick 22 in exchange. They since traded that to help move up to get those other picks, that 9 and 16. But what are your thoughts on Darcy Maloney leaving?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. Like, she wasn't one that I would have sort of put in my basket of ones that may request, a move. She seemed pretty well at home, but you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors, and it could just be the fact that she's a really good player. She's capable of doing great things, but she was just never the first string on any bow in Geelong's lineup. She sort of got overshadowed. Maybe she felt like she wasn't being able to sort of spread her wings with the other sort of the caliber of players around her. I'm not sure. Like that's just pure speculation, but that's kind of where my mind goes, or it could just purely be a lifestyle choice. I'm not sure, but I'm sad to see her go. Like she was one of our sort of in our pool of favourites. I think we always sort of rooted for her and like to see her do well. So yeah, she only seemed to be getting better every year. So it's certainly a bit of a loss for the Cats. It's not one of those ones where I go, oh well, good luck to them. Obviously, good luck to her, but yeah, it's it does sting a little.
What about you, Johnny? What were your sort of thoughts on the Maloney departure?
Yeah, bit sad and disappointing that she's heading north to Sydney. It's a real big shame, but Sam said it's who knows what the reasons are. Was it that she just wasn't getting the right opportunity at the Cats, or wasn't playing the right position she wants to play in? Could be a magnitude of things that we haven't. She hasn't said anything, or we haven't seen the reasons why she wanted to leave. But good. Best of luck to her. Hopefully, when the Cats see her, we can smash Sydney and remind her of the mistake she's made.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a bit bizarre, to be honest. Like, I think if you rewind a couple of seasons, we would have been talking about Darcy Maloney as like we talked about Claudia Gunjaka and others as like key Cats. They're going to be part of that first Geelong Premiership team, etc., etc. And now she's gone. And it's kind of interesting. I think she had some really strong seasons. I wouldn't have thought personally that 2024 was her best. I thought there was maybe a little bit of stagnation. I had sort of thought, I thought probably 2023 was when she really, I thought, was showing that's the type of player, 14.2 disposals per game, a tick under 60% disposal efficiency, nearly 5 tackles per game. I thought last year this season just gone, there was a little bit of stagnation. I wonder if players I just wonder if there's a mix of other players who have now come in that have maybe squeezed her out of the role that she would have felt was ideal for her. I don't know. It's all sort of speculation on my part and reading tea leaves, but I wish her the absolute best. It's a harsh time of year. I put this on social media. I said it's kind of like a brutal time of year when you see Cats, depart the club, especially ones who have done significant things. Like I'll always remember her kicking the winning goal against the West Coast Eagles. I think it was in 2021. It was a ruck hit out from Olivia Fuller to Becky Webster, who put it in side 50, and it was Darcy Maloney on the spot to kick the winning goal very, very late for the Cats. So, yeah, there's some favourite AFLW Cats memories that Darcy Maloney helped create, but on her way up to Sydney. Sort of funny because it wasn't it Sydney that she was getting fights with in fights against Johnny?
Yeah, it was.
This year? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
And decked a West Coast player. So
yes. Yeah.
She'll probably have a few old bits to settle with the Cats at some point, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we shall now move on. We actually have got the news out of the way. We're going to talk about some things we're sold / not sold on. Sambo, you can lead us off first here. Give us something you're sold on. And why?
Sorry, I haven't. You did say that. I had in my head we were going with not sold on first, but you did actually say that.
Oh, do you want to do that? You want to go things we're not sold on? Maybe it's too negative for this show to end on things we're not sold on.
I don't mind. I'm happy either way. But yeah, sure, we can go not sold on first and get that out of the way, and then end on positives. The thing I'm not sold on is maybe it's a bit of an obvious one. I feel like it gets spoken about a lot, and it's not. I'm not sold on it as in I'm super negative of anyone involved in it. I'm just not sold as in I'm not sure. I don't exactly know what the what the how this is going to unfold, and that is the ruck situation for the Cats. Obviously we've got some really really young prospects like what's his name, Mollier, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Mollier,
Joe
Mollier,
Pike.
Mollier. Yeah, like we got some young prospects, but you would presume still a ways away from being ready. Conway looks promising, but can't seem to keep healthy, which might stop, but again might not. So that's again why I'm I'm not sold on it. And I love Stangers, I love Stanley, but he's going to be what 34, 35 in the across
He's
at some
old.
point this season.
Might as well take him out
Yeah.
the back and shit him, Asa.
If you listen to the general media, that would certainly be the case. But I think regardless, I think consistency, even when he was, in his prime, I think consistency has probably always been Stanley's sort of sticking point. And it's why it gives fuel to his detractors, but also defenders like myself always have examples to point to and go, but look what he did here, look what he did that game, whatever. So I think we're still going to see some highs from Stanley, but I'm as we say, not sold on him being able to be our number one ruck for a full season. And if Conway can't stay healthy, I think again we might be looking at a bit of a patchwork scenario this season.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'll just piggyback onto that because I had the exact same thing
Oh, sorry.
through a slight. No, that's fine. On a slightly different trajectory. I might even try and make up another one. I've kind of had a couple in the can. I might come back to one after Johnny, but I'll just add to what you're saying. Like mine was basically, I'm not sold on Toby Conway being the number one ruck option in 2025. I just think there's way too much uncertainty to pin our hopes on there. It's not a denial of his potential, but the track record of injury has just eroded my hope, which obviously sucks. I think, as you said, you mentioned Sambo. We've got others, Jacob Mollier, who was drafted, Joe Pike, Stanley still around, Mitchell Edwards is still on the list, and I think that talks about how concerned Geelong probably are about the ruck situation. Like, there were some people who said, "What the heck? We never draft rucks. Now we've drafted a bunch and we've retained Stanley. Like, what are we doing?" I think they are concerned, and I think we'll see Stanley most of the year. I think it'll be Stanley 90% of the time, so long as he's healthy. And it's just trying to bridge across the future at the position, whether that's Conway or someone else in 2026. I don't know, maybe the Sam de Koning thing happens again where we put him in the ruck, but I don't think it stops us winning a flag. Like, I think we're capable of doing that. We almost did it this year with what we had, but I'm certainly tempering my expectations around, the idea that Conway is just going to burst back onto the scene. He's gone into the medical, the telephone booth, and he's going to come out in his Superman uniform and just be an All-Australian ruck. I think it's going to be Stanley most of the year. Johnny, have you got something that you are not sold on?
I do. Not sold on that Bailey Smith will be the next player to deliver us our premiership. I just don't reckon he's going to be that player, that Jeremy Cameron that comes in and changes everything. I think what we need from Bailey Smith is just our next good midfielder who can maybe deliver really good performances and match-winning games, but I don't think he's the key reason why the Cats could win the next premiership. I think our midfield's still pretty good. Like, it's still got us to a prelim very handily, got us within 10 points of a premiership. So I don't think that's the reason why the Cats brought him in, is to get the next premiership. It's just to strengthen our midfield, get us ready to push as a team for the next premiership. So yeah, I'm not fully sold on that. And I'll say to other people, don't put too much expectations on his shoulders. He hasn't played for a full season. He's coming off a pretty serious knee injury. So yeah, I just can't see him being the big reason why the Cats win the next premiership. I think the next reason why we win the next premiership is because that midfield, forward line defense works seamlessly as a team. And I can see him absolutely slotting in that midfield, no worries. But he's not gonna. I'm not sold on that. He's going to be the shining light that saves us from our despair of making another prelim. Like,
Yeah.
Jeremy Cameron definitely was one of those players that I was very excited and very going to get. He can help us get us our next premiership. But yeah, Jim Bailey Smith, I'm just not fully sold on it. Like some other people might be.
Well,
It probably depends.
I'm reasonably sold. Can I just quickly ask, John, do you think though that your feelings on that are because you don't think we need saving? Like that's kind of the impression I'm getting.
Yeah.
That like he's not going to win us a premiership because we probably could have done it without him this year.
pretty
Like, is that
much.
what you're kind of saying, that like we don't need a magic bullet?
Yeah, pretty much. Like he's going to add a lot to the midfield and he's going to strengthen it absolutely. But also, our midfield, as I said, was still pretty strong. It's exciting to have him in the team, absolutely. And I could be proven wrong. Hope I am. I hope that he can be that one player that just strides in and delivers us a premiership, wins a Norm Smith, wins a Brownlow medal. That would be incredible if he could. But I'm just saying that I hope people aren't pinning all their hope on the premiership on his shoulders because hasn't played for a whole year. So I'll just say to people, lower the expectations if they're super high, and we'll see how he's going in his first month.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. 100%. Like you've got to keep it all in perspective. Like you said, he's coming off a big injury. His form had slumped a little bit in his last season at the Dogs too. Like I think it's unfair to expect that player to come in and be the silver bullet kind of thing that puts everything over the line. As you Chaps said, like we were so close last year anyway. We're almost in another grand final. So definitely a nice addition. But no, I agree, Johnny. I'm not sold on him as the savior. Doesn't mean I'm not keen to see him in the club. But I agree with you as far as expectations, etc.
I could be easily proven wrong. And a part of me goes, I hope I'm proven wrong. That he is that player that just comes in and goes, I'm the captain now.
I like it. I am going to. I'm just gonna. I'm fine with what I said. I'm not sold on. I just because we had the same one. I think that's fine. The ruck situation. We talked about that. Well, the others I'd sort of be scraping the barrel. I'm sold on a lot, so I don't want to sort of manufacture something that I'm doubting when I'm not. So I'll lead us into the I'm sold on segment, and then we'll go Sambo and Johnny to finish out. So I'm sold on, and we've already talked about this player a bit, Jacob Mollier or Mollier, whatever, however you pronounce the name, as a major piece of the future puzzle. It's 200 centimeters forward ruck out of Sturt. His marking highlights are extremely exciting. His athleticism for his size looks above average. I don't know. I just get excited anytime I see a pic or a clip of him jumping at the footy. Like it's all totally sort of gut feel based vibes. It's probably way too early, but I'm sold. I think he can be a legit marking forward who can also go and play ruck. I just think he's going to be super exciting. I don't know what that looks like in terms of whether he gets games in 2025 for the AFL men's team, but I'm really, really looking forward to watching him at VFL level. For one, I just have this feeling that he's going to be the type of player that Geelong's coaches are going to do a lot with, the particular skill set he has. So yeah, I'm sold. I'm buying stonks early. The market's just open. Give me all the Jacob Mollier stocks. Stonks, rather. Sambo, you're up next. What are you sold on?
I am sold on Ollie Dempsey being the real deal. Like, I don't think he's a flash in the pan rising star. Then pressure gets too much to him. Can't keep up consistency. I think he's out of the gate. He's often racing, and I just don't see him tripping up. I don't see him being one of those players that now chokes now that he's got to do it again. I think he's even across the season that we just saw, he added dimension to his game. He wasn't just the guy that could kick free goals and try and get some, try go for a screamer every other kick, every other mark. Sorry, like I think he matured so much as a footballer. He was so good just at just doing the basics, the fundamental stuff. And I think, with another preseason in him, I think this year he's going to just be the same but better again. And I do think he's going to be one of those, like, he's not a Selwood like player. He's not a Dangerfield like player, but I think he's going to be one of those type names. Do you know what I mean? One of those names around the club that everybody talks about, everybody knows. He's just one of those like key 5 players of, talking about whether Bailey Smith can deliver us a premiership. I think Dempsey is one of those key 5 players for us, forming the next dynasty.
Nice. I like it.
I love that. It's good to just remind ourselves of how good he was last season, averaging 17.4 disposals, nearly a goal a game, 2.5 tackles, pretty much a goal assist per game, and like just set a bunch of sort of personal bests. It was a real breakout year. His top disposals when you look at him on AFL tables, like all 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all 10 of his best 10 games for highest disposal counts came last season. So it was the definition of a breakout season. So yeah, no, plenty of reason to get excited. 22 goals and 24 goal assists was immaculate. Johnny, what are you sold on?
Yep. I'm sold on that we will be seeing Sam De Koning at his best in 2025. I reckon he had a pretty off year 2024. I sort of, after 2022, I was always thinking in the back of my mind, this is a really fantastic, good year. Is he going to be able to back it up the next couple of years? And I think he just wasn't able to back it up. It's pretty hard to back up that kind of year, a premiership year, a really solid, like hardly ever getting beaten one-on-one. So, and I just got that feeling that last 2 years been a bit of a learning, getting his confidence up again. Not that it hadn't been brought up, but just get that learning, that idea of how the game works, how to read the game a bit better. The opposition knew how to play against him, and I just feel like he's got a bit to work on this off season, and I think he's one of those players that will work on it hard and work out where he needs to improve, what he needs to do to negate the opposition playing on him and dominating them again. I just got that feeling that I reckon we could see SDK back to his best. And I think he's one of those players that he's really good, really talented. He's got the skill. We've seen it, and we haven't seen it for the last couple of years. I reckon he's ready for another big year.
Yeah, he's an interesting case because he really played like a bit of a selfless role in some ways, in terms of like going and trying to play in the ruck. His top 5 games in his career for disposals all came last season. His top 4 games for tackles all came last season. He had a game there where he had 31 hitouts in round 20. I think that was against the Bulldogs. Now, that was that hideous loss in the rain, I think, from memory. But like he probably didn't look his best down back last year, but yeah, I'm with you, Johnny. I think it's easy. It happens so quickly that we forget how talented players are, how good they are. And they can remind us pretty quick too. So no, I like that. I hadn't really been thinking much about Sam De Koning, but I like that you have been. And yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one to end on. All right,
Yep.
We are off to the Patreon part of the show. We're going to rank our top 3 favorite cats. It's the old Olympic podium style: bronze, silver, and gold. So we're going to do that. If you'd like to check out that part of the show, go on over to Patreon, hit up a free 7-day free trial. Of course it's free. It's a free trial. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Smash that subscribe button. Keep your eye out for the latest summer series video from Ben and Paul, which will be dropping later this week. And until next time, go Cats.
Go Cats!
Go Cats.
And go Sam for figuring out technical issues on the fly. We were live working our way through things. So yeah.
I swear to God, I'll have it sorted by next week. I swear.
We've got to get out of this off-season escape bungalow. All right.
We do.